Beloved one, I know you've felt it. That weight in your chest that never quite goes away, the silent question you've asked in the dark, why hasn't it happened yet? That aching pause between the promise and the fulfillment. But I am here to tell you today, it was never because you failed. You have not missed your moment, you have not fallen behind, and you certainly were not forgotten. There has been a war for your destiny, one that you could not see, but deeply felt. A war waged not with swords and shields, but with whispers and glances, misdirections and delays. You were not delayed by accident. You were targeted, and that, my child, is not a reason to feel shame. It is your confirmation that you carry something holy. You were born carrying a flame that frightened the shadows around you. There were people who noticed it long before you did. People who wore kindness like a cloak, but trembled at your light. They spoke your name with smiles on their lips and envy in their hearts. You sensed something was wrong. In their presence, your vision blurred, your clarity dimmed, and now you know why. You were being spiritually stalled, not by circumstance, but by design. But hear me now, that design is breaking. The hands that tried to close the doors in front of you are trembling, because the seal that held you back has snapped open. Because heaven has declared it's time. I speak not of punishment, but preparation. You were never denied. You were preserved from environments that would have crushed you, held back from opportunities that would have consumed your soul, delayed, so that your wings could strengthen in secret. And now comes the shift. Do not let the familiarity of your pain blind you to the miracle unfolding before you. What held you down yesterday will no longer define your tomorrow. Because the one who sent this message did not forget what he placed in you. Child of light, can you feel the tension shifting, the invisible resistance giving way to something greater? There is a reason this message found you today. It is not by scroll, not by click, not even by coincidence. It is because you are being called back into alignment. This message is your confirmation that the delay was never a punishment, that the silence was not absence, but strategy. The enemy thought that if he could just make you doubt your worth long enough, you would walk away from the door that was already opening. But look at you, still standing, still watching, still listening. That alone is your victory. That alone proves the battle is turning. I want you to hear this next part as if it were written on the inside of your chest. The betrayal you experienced, it wasn't just emotional. It was spiritual. That relationship you kept giving grace to, it wasn't sent to support you, it was planted to distract you. That delay you blamed on your own weakness, it was a trap laid by forces afraid of your rise, and now it's being dismantled. There were conversations spoken behind closed doors, in rooms where your name was twisted. You were not paranoid, you were discerning. Your silence wasn't a flaw, it was a shield. Every tear, every no answer, every time you had to pretend you didn't hear what you heard or see what you saw, heaven recorded it. Nothing is lost. And now everything is being restored. This is the part they never saw coming. This is the moment they feared would arrive. Not because you're vengeful, not because you're loud, but because you're still here, still aligned, still breathing, still chosen. Yes, they tried to delay your destiny. Yes, they tried to dim your light, but no man, no spirit, no system can override what has been written by the hand of heaven. You are not a mistake, you are not broken, you are not too late. What you carry was not meant to be seen early, it was meant to be unleashed when the stage was ready. And child, it is ready now. I need you to do something right now. Not for me, but for your own spirit. Take a breath, not a shallow breath, a deep one. A breath that tells your nervous system the war is ending. Let the air tell your bones, we made it through. Because you did. You made it through the silence, through the shadows, through the delays, through the false alignments and the hidden attacks. You are not entering the breakthrough. You are the breakthrough. You are the arrival. You are the evidence. Evidence that what was meant to be destroyed can be delivered. Evidence that what was overlooked can be elevated. Evidence that the plan of heaven does not bend to the hands of those who wish you small. And now, I say this with every ounce of authority given to me from the realms above. Your restoration is not pending. It is activated. Let every whisper spoken against you return to silence. Let every plan plotted against you unravel in plain sight. Let every eye that watched you break now witness your rise. Because, beloved, the delay is over. My beloved child, you have always felt it, haven't you? That strange heaviness when you entered the room. That shift in the air when you spoke your dreams aloud. That subtle discomfort in others. Not because of what you did, but because of who you are becoming. And today, I must finally confirm the truth you've long suspected. It wasn't your imagination. They did see your light before you saw it yourself. And yes, they feared it, but not in the way you might think. They didn't fear you because of what you had already accomplished. They feared you because of what you hadn't yet done, because something in you reminded them of what they chose not to become. Your resilience irritated their excuses, your hunger unsettled their comfort. Your quiet strength threatened their illusion of control. You didn't need to shout. You didn't need to prove anything. Your presence alone disrupted the space they had built, a space where mediocrity could hide behind borrowed confidence. So they smiled, they clapped, they spoke well of you in front of others. But in the shadows, their spirit trembled. They whispered just enough doubt to keep you second-guessing. They offered just enough distraction to keep you stuck. They prayed for your peace, but feared your power. This is not bitterness. This is not paranoia. This is revelation. The veil is being pulled back now. Heaven is not revealing these truths to wound you. Heaven is showing them to free you. There was a plan, and you were not supposed to find out, but you have, because the one who watches over your spirit, the one who has stood guard while you questioned yourself, has decided no more. No more confusion disguised as counsel. No more guilt packaged as humility. No more alliances that drain your soul while pretending to fill your cup. Archangel Michael speaks now, and every false agreement made in your absence is being broken. You may be wondering, why would someone who claimed to love me slow me down? Because, my child, your evolution threatened their comfort. They needed you to stay familiar. They needed you to remain predictable. But you were never meant to blend in. You were never sent here to shrink. You were born to disturb the slumber of systems that kept others numb, and that is why your light has been fought. That is why your spirit felt resistance in places that were supposed to feel like safety, because your growth required you to see the difference between presence and partnership. Presence can be proximity, but partnership, that requires alignment, and not everyone walking beside you was walking with you. Some were keeping pace to monitor your movement, not to support it, but to slow it. They did not cheer for your healing. They feared it because a healed version of you is undeniable, but you are no longer obligated to carry the weight of their discomfort. You do not have to slow your rise for anyone afraid of heights. You have been polite for long enough. Now it's time to be powerful. I speak this with all authority given from above. The chains of emotional manipulation are broken. The fog of confusion is clearing. The assignments of delay have expired. Do you feel that? It's not just your mind settling. It's your spirit standing. You are not who you used to be. The version of you that apologized for glowing is gone. The version of you that kept quiet so others wouldn't feel small has passed away. And in its place, a fire rises, not a loud fire, not a destructive one, but a holy, unshakable flame that cannot be dimmed. It is written, you are chosen, you are sealed, you are sent, not to beg for entry, but to open doors, not to wait for permission, but to walk in divine timing. You have been hidden, not because you lacked value, but because heaven was preserving your impact. Now they will see, not because you seek revenge, but because heaven will not let you remain unseen. Listen to me carefully, child. You are not here by accident. The weight you've carried was never yours to bear forever. Yes, the betrayals hurt. Yes, the silence was heavy. Yes, the delay made you question everything. But still, you remained. And that alone makes you dangerous to the darkness, because a soul that suffers and still believes is a soul that cannot be stopped. There are conversations happening in the heavens about you. Alignments are shifting, connections are stirring, provision is awakening. Heaven is not just watching. Heaven is responding, but you must do your part now. You must guard your gate. Not everyone who returns deserves access. Not every voice from your past should be invited into your future. They will reach out. Oh yes, they will try. Some with apologies, others with explanations. Some pretending as if nothing happened, but all carrying one silent question. Do I still have influence over you? And you, beloved, must answer with your silence, because peace is your protection now. Discernment is your sword. Stillness is your strategy. You are no longer required to explain. You are no longer bound to defend. What you escaped was not just a person, it was spiritual imprisonment. The door has closed, the cycle has ended, and the ones who once monitored your every move are losing their grip. You have stepped out of surveillance and into sovereignty. You are not hidden, you are guarded. So rise, not with noise, not with vengeance, but with vision. Let your posture speak for you. Let your movement reflect the magnitude of what's been placed inside you. You don't owe them understanding, you owe heaven obedience. And heaven says, it's time. Beloved child, there is something sacred about the silence you've held. You've been misunderstood, misread, and mislabeled. They thought your quiet was surrender. They mistook your stillness for submission. But heaven knew the truth. You were not silent because you had nothing to say. You were silent because heaven told you not to answer. Because every word you could have spoken would have been twisted, manipulated, used against you. So you said nothing, and in doing so, you protected everything. I want you to understand this clearly. Your restraint was not weakness. It was warfare, the kind only the spiritually awake could endure. You were shielded not by noise, but by discernment. And now the time has come to reveal why. There were people around you who looked safe, who sounded sweet, who offered smiles as coverings for their strategy. But their loyalty was never to your future. It was to your delay. They benefited from your uncertainty. Your indecision kept them in control. When you began to dream louder, they offered distractions. When your heart leaned toward healing, they whispered half-truths to keep you doubting. When your light began to stir, they dimmed it with soft manipulation. And yet, you knew. Somewhere deep in the corridors of your spirit, you sensed a contradiction. You couldn't explain it, but you felt the shift. Their hugs felt colder, their compliments carried weight. Their laughter didn't reach their eyes, and when you tried to name it, you were told you were overthinking. When you tried to distance yourself, they questioned your sanity. But you weren't paranoid, you were prophetic. You didn't need evidence. Your spirit had already discerned the atmosphere. What they tried to conceal with politeness, heaven exposed with pressure. And now the truth is rising. Archangel Michael speaks again. They knew who you were becoming and they couldn't handle it. You see, you didn't change suddenly. You grew quietly. You didn't abandon them. You outgrew the version of yourself that needed their approval. And they noticed, so they called your peace distance. They labeled your protection coldness. They tried to reduce your silence to bitterness. But child of heaven, you were simply evolving. There are moments in life when God calls you out, not out of love, but out of loyalty to purpose. And in those moments, your departure may not come with explanation, but it will come with power. This is that moment. They are still speaking, still twisting the story, still trying to create a version of events where they were the victim. But you need not defend yourself, because Archangel Michael has already documented every whispered word. Heaven has heard the conversation you didn't hear. Heaven has seen the intentions behind the gifts. Heaven has recorded the motives hidden in concern. And now, justice is moving. Child, I must tell you something important. You were never fighting people. You were fighting principalities. This battle wasn't about the argument you had. It wasn't about the betrayal that broke your heart. It wasn't even about the delay that crushed your hope. It was spiritual sabotage, orchestrated to keep you just confused enough not to rise, just tired enough not to fight, just discouraged enough to give up halfway, but you didn't. And that, beloved, has terrified the enemy, because a soul who continues despite resistance is a soul. Heaven backs with full authority, and so I declare. To you now, the silence that once protected you will now be your banner. The stillness that once guarded you will now announce you. What you whispered in prayer will now be shouted through manifestation. What they said you lost will return in double. What was hidden will be revealed. What was stolen will be restored. Heaven does not repay in fractions. Heaven repays in overflow. Listen carefully. This next part of your life does not require you to prove your worth. It requires you to walk in it. Let them speak, let them guess, let them assume. Your mission is not to answer the accusers. Your mission is to advance. And while they remain stuck in speculation, you will rise in acceleration. Yes, there will be attempts to pull you back. Sudden check-ins, convenient compliments, curious questions masked in kindness. But they are not curious about your healing. They are concerned about your wholeness, because a whole you doesn't need them anymore. Archangel Michael warns, they will attempt to regain entrance. But you must remember, familiarity is not the same as faithfulness. You are not required to reopen doors heaven has sealed. You are not bound to respond to the voices that once kept you small. Discern the difference between restoration and regression. One brings clarity, the other brings confusion, and confusion has no place in this season. Do not be lured by guilt disguised as grace. Do not be trapped by nostalgia wrapped in false memory. You are no longer who you were when you needed them. You have become more than they imagined. And that alone unsettles the foundations they built their control upon. But you must not shrink. You must not explain. You must not reach back, not because you're prideful, but because you're protected. You have crossed over. And what you are building cannot be shared with those who once celebrated your silence. There is a divine circle forming around you now, not of people who flatter, but of souls who recognize the assignment on your life. These new alignments are not based on history, but on harmony, not on comfort, but on calling. So lift your head, straighten your spine, let your silence speak, let your presence prophesy. You are not returning, you are releasing, you are not hesitating, you are healing, and the world will feel it. The realm of darkness will tremble because the one they tried to delay is no longer silent. Beloved child, you are entering a sacred season, one where chains fall, but the echoes of their grip still linger. And I must speak to you plainly now. Freedom comes with temptation. Not temptation to sin, but the temptation to return. To return to what once felt safe. To return to what once felt familiar. To entertain voices that once silenced you. To answer doors heaven already closed. You must not go back. Yes, they will reach out. Yes, they will speak again, not to heal you, but to reopen the wound, not to uplift, but to confuse, not with malice, but with strategy. This is the part the enemy rarely talks about. The moment after the chains fall, the moment when your body is free, but your memory still remembers the weight. And so, Archangel Michael speaks clearly now. Do not return to the captivity God delivered you from. There will be messages, innocent check-ins, sudden friendliness from old connections. You'll notice it. You'll feel the energetic residue. It will seem harmless, but it's not. These are not random. They are tests, spiritual probes looking for access. Echoes from your past sent to check if the gates are still closed. And I tell you, child, keep them closed. Because what you broke free from was not just a person or a relationship or a job. It was a spiritual system that fed on your uncertainty, a system that needed your silence to thrive, a cycle that required your loyalty to remain in chains. You broke it, but the enemy, he doesn't give up so easily. He studies patterns. He waits for weariness. He watches your energy drop just enough, and then he sends familiarity as bait. Not to frighten you, but to lull you back into the false safety of your former cage. Beloved, this is not the time to entertain nostalgia. This is not the time to doubt your growth. This is not the time to justify reopening old wounds. You are in divine motion now. To look back would be to lose momentum. And so, Michael declares, keep your gaze forward. Let the dead bury the dead. What once comforted you now contaminates you. What once held you now hinders you. And what once appeared as peace now whispers confusion. They will not come with open hostility. They will come with smiles, with shared memories, with language meant to draw you back. But listen closely. Their words will feel off. You'll feel a tightening in your spirit. You'll sense the contradiction. Your peace will flicker, your clarity will blur, and that is your sign they have not changed. You see, transformation requires repentance, and what they offer is reconnection without responsibility. They want your presence, but not your healing. They want proximity, not truth. They miss your softness, but not your sovereignty. And so heaven urges you, stay alert, not anxious, not afraid, but spiritually anchored. You've entered sacred territory. This is not a time to engage in emotional negotiations. This is a time to guard your gates. Let them speak, let them wonder, let them twist your story. You owe no explanation, you owe no reply, because heaven has already spoken on your behalf. Every lie spoken in secret, exposed, every manipulation masked in love, revealed. Every hand that fed you doubt, removed. Now the only hand you must hold is God's. There will be whispers. Oh, you've changed. Yes, you have. You've become whole. You've become awake. You've become unavailable to what once broke you. And that is not arrogance. That is alignment. Your heart is no longer accessible to chaos. Your time is no longer currency for guilt. Your presence is no longer for rent. This new version of you is not up for negotiation. Let the past knock. Let it shout. Let it send its finest bait. You will not answer. Because you have work to do, you have assignments to fulfill, you have territory to claim, and you have promises to walk into. The enemy tried to delay you once, and he failed. Now he will try to distract you, but he will fail again, because this time you're not just aware. You're awake. Archangel Michael stands before you, sword in hand, not to fight your old battles. They are already won, but to guard your path forward. You are being called to elevation, to deeper insight, to divine fulfillment. But elevation requires separation, and separation demands discipline. So remember this, you cannot fly while carrying what clipped your wings. You cannot soar while feeding what once drained you. Do not be sentimental with what was sent to sabotage. Do not be gentle with what once wounded your spirit. There is a holy fire around you now, and only truth can enter it. So speak slowly, move intentionally, and stay hidden in the will of God. Because this season is not about visibility, it's about vibrations. It's not about who sees you, it's about who can feel you shift. And those who feel your shift will respond, not with manipulation, but with honor, not with strategy, but with spiritual alignment. You are not being difficult, you are being protected. And protection sometimes looks like unreturned calls, unanswered texts. Unfinished conversations and unspoken goodbyes, let it be. Archangel Michael whispers, "You do not need closure from people I have already removed. Your closure is this moment. Your closure is this clarity. Your closure is this peace. And as you walk forward, don't apologize for it. Don't explain it. Don't tone it down. Because you've earned this silence. You've earned this wholeness. You've earned this stillness that makes demons tremble. Stay faithful, my child, not just to the path, but to the discernment that placed you on it. And remember, returning is no longer an option. Beloved one, it's time, not for revenge, not for reaction, but for revelation. You've been quiet long enough. You've watched, endured, and outlasted every scheme set against you. But now, what was hidden is about to rise. Not through your hands, but by the justice of heaven itself. Yes, they whispered. Yes, they plotted. Yes, they smiled in your face and cursed your progress behind closed doors. But child, I tell you this now, the same lips that distorted your name will soon tremble at your restoration. This is not about exposing others out of bitterness. It's about truth refusing to remain buried. Heaven has waited for this moment, not to humiliate your enemies, but to vindicate your spirit. You didn't imagine it. You didn't overreact. You weren't too sensitive. You were targeted, and heaven saw everything. You may not have had the words back then, but heaven recorded the vibration of your tears. You may not have known how to defend yourself, but Archangel Michael stood between you and every unseen blow. Now the book is being opened, not the one they wrote, not the story they tried to script about you, but the true account, the one sealed in light, the one heaven authored. Let me tell you what's written in it, that you remained pure in a poisonous environment, that you kept your heart soft when bitterness tried to take root, that you didn't retaliate even when retaliation was justified, that you let silence speak. And now heaven is answering on your behalf. What they did in secret, the whispers, the alliances, the slander masked as concern, it is unraveling. This is the hour of divine reversal, where the very things used to delay you will now be the evidence of your elevation. And listen carefully. You will not need to explain how you made it. You will not need to name names or rehash wounds, because your rise will say it all. What they tried to stop is moving. What they tried to suppress is growing. What they feared most is unfolding right in front of them. But I must warn you, my child, do not gloat. Do not lower your frequency to meet their fear. Do not waste this glory on small arguments. Because your blessing is not for validation, it is for vindication. This moment is holy. Guard it with humility. They will wonder, they will talk, they will scramble to retell the story in a way that still makes them the hero. Let them. You have no time to clarify fiction. You are too aligned with truth. They will say, "Oh, they got lucky. They changed. They moved on." But heaven knows you grew. You healed. You listened. You obeyed, and now, beloved, you are rising. Archangel Michael declares, heaven is honoring the silence you kept when you could have fought with flesh. Now the Spirit will speak for you, and it will speak loudly, through opportunities, through divine alignments, through provision you didn't ask for, but needed. You were hidden for a season. Now you are being revealed for a purpose. But listen closely. The ones who once twisted your light will try to re-enter. Not because they've changed, but because your glow has become undeniable. This is not the moment to renegotiate boundaries. This is the moment to stand in them. You don't need to say a word. Your alignment speaks. Your elevation testifies. Your peace proclaims. What they tried to steal, heaven is returning in full. What they tried to distort, heaven is reframing in glory. And what they meant for evil, it will now work in your favor. This is the divine irony. They feared your voice, so they tried to silence you. But it was your silence that gave heaven permission to speak louder. They wanted control over your future. but their betrayal only unlocked your anointing. Beloved, don't be surprised when those who mocked you start mimicking you. Don't be shocked when the ones who dismissed your vision begin to echo it. That's not flattery, it's confirmation. You were always ahead, even when they tried to delay your arrival. But I say this in love. Do not return to clarify. Do not re-explain. Do not correct their revisionist history, because heaven is writing the final word. And it is not defensive. It is definitive. You don't owe anyone a tour of your transformation. You don't need to relive the pit to prove the palace is real. Let them wonder. Let them sit in confusion. Let them rewrite you in their heads. You are walking proof that what they delayed cannot be denied. And so, walk boldly, not in arrogance, but in alignment, not with vengeance, but with vision. You are no longer their storyline. You are heaven's headline. Type nothing, explain nothing, just move. For the most powerful message is the one you don't speak, the one you live. And as you live it, heaven will continue to make your enemies your footstool, not for dominance, but for elevation. You are standing now in the very place they said you'd never reach. You are becoming the very force they tried to erase. You are carrying the very light they hoped would flicker and die. But it shines. Brighter, wider, deeper, because it was never your fire to protect. It was heaven's. You were simply the vessel. So rise, child. Let them watch. The same ones who tried to silence you will soon say, I always knew there was something about them. They didn't, but heaven did, and heaven never lies. Beloved one, the delay is broken, not slowed, not paused, but completely severed. What once held you no longer has legal right to your life, and the heavens declare, it is time. This final chapter is not about escape, it is about emergence, not a soft return, but a sacred rise. You are not being restored to who you were before the pain. You are being reconstructed into who you were always meant to be. And now, the voice of Archangel Michael speaks with power. You are no longer waiting, you are walking. You are no longer wondering, you are wielding. You are no longer delayed, you are decreed. Let that sink into your bones. Every moment you spent in the shadows, every sleepless night questioning your worth, every lost opportunity, silenced dream, sabotage connection, it is all being recalibrated by divine hands. Not one moment was wasted, not one tear overlooked. You were never forgotten, you were preserved. Preserved for a moment like this, preserved for people who would receive your truth, preserved for platforms you didn't even know existed yet, preserved for impact that cannot be measured in human terms. And now, it's happening. The shift you felt coming is here, the sense that something is about to move. That sense was not anxiety, it was announcement. Heaven has sent angels ahead of you. Doors are being opened, resources are being released. Hearts are being stirred. Even those who once ignored you will begin to seek your voice, not because you begged for it, but because heaven has marked you. Beloved, I want you to understand, you were trained in the dark so you could shine in the storm. You were crushed not to be broken, but to become undeniable. You were betrayed so you could be separated from the familiar and aligned with the divine. And now, there is no turning back. This is not the season of recovery. It is the season of reign. You are no longer asking for access. You are the access point. People will walk into rooms because you're in them. Atmospheres will shift when you speak. Opportunities will rise to meet your feet. You are not adjusting to the old world. You are birthing the new one. This is the moment they never expected you to survive. This is the version of you they hoped would never awaken. But now you are here, not cautious, not timid, but commissioned. And your steps are not random. They are guided. Your words are not wasted. They are weaponized. Your presence is not passive. It is prophetic. Archangel Michael proclaims again, they tried to delay your destiny, but their delay became your preparation. They tried to bury your voice, but their silence became your training ground. Now the shift has begun. But child, hear this warning with love. Your greatest test now will not be surviving opposition. It will be managing acceleration, sudden blessing, sudden favor, sudden recognition. It will feel like too much, too fast. Not because it is overwhelming, but because you're no longer used to ease. You become so conditioned to resistance that peace may feel foreign. You've been so wired for warfare that abundance may seem suspicious. But don't reject what you've prayed for. Don't sabotage what you've been prepared for. Do not let familiarity with suffering convince you you're unworthy of success, because this is your due season. And heaven does not apologize for favoring the faithful. Let the doors open. Let the right people enter. Let the old narratives fall away. Let the version of you that was built by trauma give way to the version built by truth. And in the moments when fear tries to whisper, "Who do you think you are?" you will answer boldly, "I am the one who survived. I am the one who obeyed. I am the one they tried to delay, and I am the one heaven has decreed." Beloved, every false timeline is being erased. Every spiritual contract forged in confusion is now being revoked. The clutter is clearing, the fog is lifting, the wind is shifting, and you are rising. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are right on divine time. There is no competition in the kingdom, only commission. You don't need to fight for a place. You are the place. You don't need to shout for attention. Your existence speaks. You don't need to battle for approval. You have already been appointed, so breathe. Let every part of you that still flinches from past wounds be washed in this truth. You are free, you are safe, you are chosen, you are commissioned, and above all, you are moving forward.